everybody, and a very warm welcome to the Recruitment Business CEO's Insider's Guide podcast. With me, your host, Katie Green, and I am delighted to be serving you the latest recruitment tactics and strategies being used right now by ordinary recruitment business owners like you and me that are delivering the extraordinary and unprecedented results. Now, if you're new to the series, a warm welcome. Over the next 30 minutes, you can expect to hear the latest strategies and tactics that you can use to grow and accelerate your recruitment business, no matter what market conditions you're in. So I am super excited. Today, I have two very special guests with me on the line. I have Emma and Simon Robinson, founders and owners of Red Diamond Executive Headhunters, based in Huddersfield in England, in the UK. Welcome, Emma and Simon.
Hello.
Hello.
Great. Thank you both for joining us today and for giving us your time. So first of all, if you wouldn't mind telling us a little bit about your business, who you serve, and what makes you unique for our listeners today.
So we're an executive headhunting business. We've been in business, this is our 14th year, and we set up the company in 2009, just at the end of 2009, in the Middle East, before then relocating back to the UK for family reasons. Our business, we cross a couple of different industries, but mainly we work in kind of the industrial side of things. So we have a couple of core parts of the business and a couple of core industries. So textiles, aviation, kind of construction, building services, and then a kind of a wider industrial, along with chemicals and pharmaceuticals side of things. So we have different people that do different things for us. But ultimately, we all do the same thing. We find C-level people within those industries.
Great. Thank you very much, guys. So would you mind telling us about some of the challenges that you were experiencing last year before you joined the programme?
Well, certainly last year before we joined the programme, we'd been in the industry and running the business for what seemed to be a long time, and it was working. It was working really well. You know, it wasn't disaster stations or anything like that, but we'd kind of stagnated a little bit. We were concentrating on a 360 model. It always viewed that the only way we could grow was kind of just taking on more people doing 360 stuff and hope that they work out. And dare I say, recruiting recruiters, it's always quite tough to do that. So it was Emma who'd seen the programme. So we decided to have a look and try and learn something new about actually running the business rather than necessarily just the recruiting side of it.
Yeah, great. I think a lot of people can resonate with that. You're absolutely right. In the world of recruitment, there are those challenges that come up around you're in a good place, but actually you kind of reach a ceiling. What specifically made you realise that something needed to change in your business? How did you know that was the time for you to go out and get some additional support?
I was going to say, certainly from my side, it was just a bit. Emma kind of was saying, if you do what you always do, you'll get what you've always got. And we were kind of doing that. And like I say, it wasn't disastrous. We were very good at it. But there were one of the big challenges were peaks and troughs. Of course, when you do 360 recruitment, you spend a lot of time doing business development. When you win the roles, which we were winning roles, but then you spend the time filling the roles. So just by matter of not having enough time, business development would drop, and then of course you'd fill the roles, and then you'd have to start. So it was just peaks and troughs all the time. And like I say, we kind of, from a growth perspective, had been hovering around the same kind of level for a number of years, with some great clients. Don't get me wrong, but we just wanted more. Dare I say, we wanted to to really look at moving to that next level with a sustainable growth, I think.
Yeah, great. And pushing through that next barrier of revenue and uplifting that. So tell us a bit about, because what you're talking about there is that 360 model, isn't it? And making that shift. So tell us a bit about what you did around that. What specifically did you put into place around that 360 model?
really traditional recruitment model. So one person did 400 jobs, and 350 of those jobs probably done mediocre. So we had I think the big theme for us, I think, over the past 12 months has definitely been inconsistency. So we needed to get rid of the in and become a little bit more consistent, which we only recognise now on reflection.
Okay, interesting. And so for you, there was that cycle, like you're saying, you can see that happen through the peaks and troughs because people are trying to do each part of that function of that 360. So there we're talking about resourcing, delivery, and business development. Is that right?
Correct, yes. We've come from a very traditional recruitment background. So everybody in here has, with the exception of Simon, has worked in, a big FTSE top 150 recruitment business. And the way those traditional models work, as people will be familiar with, is that you do everything from, negotiating and bringing in the jobs right through to filling it and sending off the invoice. And we recognised after a little bit of soul searching that actually there are better ways and more efficient ways of doing things. But we've always been invested in a programme of learning. And we did really feel that there were some things that we could change and we could do differently, and that the recruitment world will change. Despite the fact it's been the same for a long, long time, it has to change.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, likewise, I've been in recruitment now for nearly 30 years. And, same as you guys, all I ever knew for many, many years was that 360 recruitment model. And it's really been the model, hasn't it? It's been taught by everybody. It's like, you just follow the pattern. But actually, it's interesting because if you look at any other industry, you just don't see that process being followed, where one person is doing all parts of the process, for a very good reason, because it means that people are burnt out, and they're trying to do everything. So that gave you inconsistent performance that you mentioned, which is impacting your revenue, and that impacts your team, and it also impacts hiring. What was one of the first things that you did then to make that change from 360?
Well, of course, we joined the course and we followed through the modules on the course. And I think one of the trigger points was for us was looking at what the current staff that we had and looking at their strengths really. When you're doing the 360 model, you will always default to what you're good at. So if you're good at the candidate side, you will default to that. But you're a bit weaker on the business development, you won't push that, which didn't help. So once we kind of done the modules, got our head around which way we wanted to go, because there was a few different options. It was looking at what strengths we had internally, and then really fundamentally splitting the team to match their strengths.
I think the other thing that we also did as well was we got really clear on the numbers. So we could have, and that's been really enlightening for us, because I think, again, in a sales environment, we're very good at plucking numbers out of the air and saying, yeah, we're going to work to this figure. And actually there's no context around it. You're just going for something because you feel that that's the number that feels right. And actually being able to pick that apart and be able to really kind of drill down into where the revenue was coming from. And it wasn't just numbers in terms of revenue, Katie. It was things like the people that we employed. That belief that you need all these people and you need all, and it's nonsense. And it's until you shift your mindset into believing something else. And you can see how we, among others, become trapped in this antiquated view of, this is how you should run a business, when actually there is a difference, and there is a point of difference, and you can, if you really drill down and you really understand where you've made money or where you've made placements, or what, even down to the locations and the salaries of the people, and really getting into the detail of that. It can be really quite enlightening, and not just from a business perspective, because it does start to change the way you do things.
So what you're talking about there is getting underneath the bonnet of where your placements are coming from and the types of clients they're coming with and the types of roles that you're recruiting for. Yeah. And actually, what is that telling you? Because you're right, we can have a tendency, I think, in recruitment, particularly when we're forced into that 360 model of thinking we've got to work harder and not smarter. It's like, okay, do more, and that way we'll make more money. But actually, what that means is that we then end up taking types of jobs on or types of clients on that aren't necessarily the right ones for us. So we're working volume, quantity rather than quality.
And certainly as well with the 360 model, when you do that, and as a business owner, specifically as a business owner, all the intellectual properties going in one consultant. So, you do almost, and we always did sell the roles as in, this is your mini desk, build the desk, and then we bring someone else in to support you, etc., etc. But how many times as business owners over the years has somebody moved on to do the exact same thing somewhere else with the knowledge that you've done it, and they haven't always done it on their own, they've got support elsewhere, but it really shifting our model has kind of future-proofed us a little bit with regards to that IP side of things.
Yeah, great. You're right, because it walks out the door, doesn't it? And then it's gone. And it's very difficult to get that back, especially if you've got a big biller who leaves that business and they take that all with them. So let's talk about the model you went for. Would you mind sharing with our listeners a little bit more about what you did opt for and what you've put into place?
Yeah. So we didn't necessarily have a 360 model. I'd say that we had a 240 model when we came to when we joined the program. In that we used outside agencies for a couple of different things, so researching and things like that. But that's a big part of being an exec search recruiter. What we have done is we now have I guess a line of 4. So we have a business that we employ that based in India, and they do our cold outreach. So we call that they're our business development team, but they're our kind of internal sales business development. We then have myself. I've moved my job completely. I'm now, I guess on the tin it says managing director. My actual job now is I'm director of business development. My team, which is small, a team of business development people, and we spend every day, all day, out with clients, and that's what we're moving towards. Simon's team are the delivery team, so they're fully focused, and Simon's the director of delivery, and he's fully focused on the candidate side of things. And then the 4th team is our administrative team, and that's made up of a couple of virtual assistants that do things like marketing, typing up CVs, administration, helping us with presentations and things like that, finance, and a HR person. So we now have gone from one person doing all 4 of those jobs to 4 separate teams. And that has, I think you term that the ultimate model, Katie.
That's right.
So, but it unbelievably how big those roles have become has been very interesting, because now we're fully focused on just a candidate or just the client, which again in our world are very much 2 of the same people. But helping people be able to really perform well at an interview, or getting through the door of a client that keeps saying no, if you've got dogged determination, you've got 5 days a week to really focus on that, you actually do achieve it. So that's what we've moved from. We've also reduced our headcount as well, and we've reduced our headcount by employing two teams of external virtual type people. They're not, because they're very much involved and we speak to them every single day, but they're not sat here in Huddersfield. One team's in India and one's in the Philippines. And they're brilliant, because what that has meant is that our business is working when we're sleeping.
Brilliant. Excellent. And so How has this change impacted that productivity and your team's focus? What difference have you seen there?
What do you think the numbers?
It's, you know, if you like, we're what, 3.5 months into the full changeover, and it did take a little bit of bedding in, because of course you've had existing clients and things, and that will always work. But certainly from our side, we've seen January compared to last year up 13.5%. Year to date, because we're halfway through Feb, it's about 22.5%. That's with the reduction in headcount, and we've also looked to streamline some of the other things that we've done. So we haven't got a total figure on the exact savings, but certainly growth has gone up, and, you know, if you like, cost has gone down, which is really great.
Brilliant. And what about in terms of, I mean, that's fantastic and excellent, and well done you guys on those results in terms of impact on finance and performance. What about on the team themselves in terms of their mindset and also, you know, their own morale?
I think it's really improved, because it was clear with the team members that we had, their skill set wasn't suited to 360. So, you know, when the split did happen, it was almost a little bit of relief for them in some respects, but re-energized them and refocused them. Because like I said in a previous comment, you know, you'd be working on candidate attraction and interviewing candidates, and then think, oh crikey, but I've not done my business development today. So what are you going to drop down? You know, it's chicken and egg. You know, you really want to fill the role, but you need to get the roles in. So the dynamic for us worked really well, and I think other business owners could probably look internally and really skill assess, you know, with the personality evaluation techniques and things, to find you probably have the team members to do the right kind of things already.
Yeah, interesting. So you've got the right people in many situations, but like you're saying, you're not necessarily pulling to their strengths. And so they're trying to cover multiple types of tasks at the same time, and either they're not in their flow or they haven't actually got the time, like Emma was saying, to really focus in on that task to make it, you know, a 5-day-a-week job for them.
Yeah, and it can be quite tough for members of staff as well, because you don't, you know, when you're working in the 360, you don't want to put your hand up and go, oh well, you know, my strengths don't really lie in this section or in that section, because of course no business owner wants to hear that. You know, they need you to be good at everything. So with the change, like I say, it did bring a little bit of relief in some members of staff, and like I say, in others, we brought out the best in them to really focus on their key skills as well, like business development, for example.
Yeah, brilliant. And as you say, you're still at early stages. You've laid down those foundations there, and you're already seeing some fantastic improvements and changes there, wins already, which signal for you that long-term success. What would you say to anybody who's in that sort of similar position? Like maybe they're having some of those experiences on the 360, but maybe they're concerned themselves, like you said, they don't know a different way of doing it. Knowing what you know now, what would be your advice to them in that situation?
Gosh, I think it's massively about confidence, especially when you've been doing this job for so long, and it is about mindset change, and it is about you know, having the courage to be able to change your process that you've maybe done for, in our circumstances, you know, for me, 20 plus years, and then suddenly to say, right, we're not going to do it this way anymore. We know in sales you can never stop, which is neither healthy nor productive. So in the hours that you are working, you need to make those hours good. And the only way to do that is to really get clear on what you are good at and your strengths. So for other business owners that perhaps found themselves in our position, like I said, we weren't a business on its knees, but we could have been, because you start to get to the point where you get exhausted by it all and you lose your passion. And therefore, you know, you've then got to start thinking about what next, and you can do that, but you can't. You think about your what next, but you don't think about how you're going to get there. And I think what this program has done for us is energized us. And I guess, if you want to lose a stone, you know what you've got to do. If you want to colour your hair pink, you know what you've got to do. But in business, it's not quite as simple as that. So for other business owners, I think it's just having the courage to say, okay, there's another way.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you're saying, that mindset shift, I think, is that mental clarity helps, doesn't it? But that decision making, sometimes you need that confidence of something to support you to make that move, because when you've known something for so long, to trust that there's going to be a shift that you're going to make, and it's not just you, it's a team of people that you're going to make in that shift, and you have to navigate them through those changes. And there will always be certain things that will come up as a challenge in that. What would you say, what kind of mindset? Yeah, what could people, or how specifically could they support themselves in that mindset change to make that, that kind of business structure change?
I think, like Emma commented earlier about, it's kind of soul searching. If you're happy as a business owner with where you are and the money that's coming in, the growth, whatever you may be, then keep doing what you're doing. Simple as that. If you want to change, you have got to be brave and take it on, because once you start, when you go through the process of changing, you're outlining all your process and the split between, in our case, business development and delivery, and you list exactly what each role does, it's enormous. It's huge. So you have got to be quite, like I say, brave and disciplined, because there is times when you do want to dip your my foot back in the other way, but you can't, because it's not my job. So you've kind of got to delegate well, stick to the process, and I'm sure that if you stick to the process and you've done it right and you've listened right, you will be on the right track. Of course, each business is going to be slightly different, and the changes will come. Nothing's guaranteed. You still, if you like, working as hard, but it's just with a different focus. And I do feel the change a bit now, where we're not chasing our tails a little bit. It's kind of, yes, there's hard work. Yes, you've still got to turn up every day and be your whole self, but it's not 2 steps forward, 1 step back, which it did feel at times in the past.
I think as well, as part of that, we were, and I go back to the numbers again. We do know literally to the number what we need. We know how many jobs we're going to fill this year. We know how many jobs we can afford to lose. We know what clients we're going for. We've got some absolute certainty on areas. And very quickly we got into flow with that. And we know the areas that, there will be times that come, I think, down the line, if we're going to expand, that we will have to dip our toe into unknown sectors potentially. But now we know we're looking for an industry specific person and not a 360 recruiter. Because the other thing that we also found was that we had people in this business that didn't suit this business. And a couple of people that had worked with us for a long time that just weren't on the same wavelength. And that's okay, because that's just life. But it's not okay for us, because if we know where we're going, we know we've got the right people on the bus now. And we can detect straight away when they're wrong. And there's a bit of a level of confidence now to say we need to kind of exit that situation quickly. Kind of said, we engraved a little bit of a motto, which was fail quickly. If there's something's not working, get rid of it sooner rather than later. And we were really bad at press, because we're such a small company. It was easy for people to just ride the wave, and we let them.
Yeah, and I think it can be a tough decision, can't it, to make when you're a small business, to make those sorts of cuts, because it's a good proportion of your overall business when you're doing that. So it's understandable that can become, particularly when you're in that peak and trough scenario of doing that. But what you're saying here, what I'm hearing is that confidence that's given you, that uplift that's given you, that clarity of those roles and what those roles requires from the people that you then hire, you can make those decisions much faster and cleaner, because there's no kind of grey area anymore of, well, hold on, is it that they're going to get better next week? Do we just need to try a bit harder with this person?
And the thing is as well, that, with the clarity on the roles, it's made it so much easier to recruit, because we're no longer fishing in the recruitment pond. We can go out to, industry specialists for business development, and in the delivery team, we can look for people with just great customer service skills that have done project management. And that is so much easier and much more fun than having to listen to someone tell us that they billed £1 million last year, and you're thinking, did you actually? There's so much more clarity around the types of people we know we need in the business, and it can be based on, have you got great customer service skills? Right, that's Simon's team. Have you got networking, the aviation industry? Fabulous, that's Emma's team. So it's really clean.
Great, brilliant. So what would either of you say to somebody considering joining? What would the Rocket program, what would you say to them?
Well, certainly, first thing I'd say is hear them out. It is an investment. I think you will get your return on investment, but you have to, you've got to test the depth of the water with both feet. You've got to jump in and you've got to immerse yourself in it. And I think once you do, and you understand the benefits and where you can be, you won't question why you did it, I don't think.
I think as well, from our perspective, we are now doing things that we know we should have been doing, and we've been given the confidence. And certainly we've had a coach as well. And Penny's been brilliant at making us accountable and kicking us up the bum when we needed to be. And the community around, you sit down and you listen to some of the stories that people say, and when you're a business owner, it can be a very lonely place, and a community like this makes it a little bit more, you feel like part of something.
Great. Thank you both. Thank you very, very much. And thank you very much for sharing those results with us as well. And I really hope for our listeners that it gives them that confidence as well, that they can walk away believing they can do the same. And if you're listening to this and you're asking yourself, what's the one thing that I can take away from this conversation that you can implement into your business? Because, what's been shared here, there's been lots and lots of takeaways around making sure that you're looking at the right people in the right roles, and getting underneath the skin of that business to look at, actually, have we got the right model in place for us to shift our business to the next level? And this is all about making shifts in your business with less time and energy, simple systems and tactics that will grow your business. And if you want the plan of how Emma and Simon got their business into this position and you want to talk to us, just click on the link below and we'll show you exactly how we help recruitment businesses leverage more opportunities and make more placements. So Simon, Emma, thank you both so much for being a part of this session today. Really, really appreciate your time and expertise. So thank you both very much.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. And we'll see you again soon on the next episode. So take care.